Hello students, welcome back to the third session of biosensors. So in earlier series, in two videos we have seen introduction to biosensors, history of biosensors and evolution of biosensors like first generation, second generation and third generation. So today we will see classification of biosensors. So now you are already aware what is a biosensor. So out of all the components, there are two major components which helps us to classify. So the first component is bioreceptor and the second component is transducer. Again I am reminding you the main difference between a sensor and biosensor is having a bioreceptor or biological recognition element. So when you classify sensors based on transducer, it is common for both biosensors as well as sensors. But the major difference comes with biological recognition element or bioreceptor. So here being a biosensor, it can be classified. A first category is bioreceptor and second category is transducer. So considering bioreceptor, biosensor is further classified into enzymes based biosensor, antibody based biosensor, DNA based biosensor and cell based biosensor, and the fifth one is biomimetic biosensor. So from the name itself easily you can understand what is the biological recognition unit in this classification. So if enzyme is used, we call it as enzyme based biosensor, and technically we have to call it as biocatalysis based biosensor. Since we are not talking about the process, we are here focusing on what kind of biological material we have used, that is why I am telling it as enzyme based biosensor. Coming to the second category, antibody biosensor, and the third one is DNA based biosensor. Usually these two are considered as bioaffinity based biosensor. Earlier days they used to call as bioaffinity based biosensor, whereas along with these two, hormone is also included, where the affinity is present between a hormone receptor and hormone. If you see here, the affinity is present between antibody and antigen. And if it comes for DNA, when you take a single stranded DNA and when you join with other single stranded DNA where the double stranded DNA formation happens, there is a affinity. Always A attaches with T, G attaches with C. A will never attach with C or G will never attach with T. So there is a affinity. So if there is a affinity, this comes under the category as bioaffinity based biosensors, whereas you see antibodies, hormones and DNA, and nowadays they have separated them and exclusively they are calling it as DNA based biosensor, right? And these three categories 1, 2 and 3. These three we consider them as molecular based biosensor, because here we are using individual molecules which are isolated and in some cases they are even purified, right? A purified enzyme is used, or a single antibody is used, or a specific single stranded DNA is used. So only molecules we are taking here. That is why we call them as molecular based biosensor. Whereas coming to the fourth category, where instead of you taking a single molecule, you take a complete cell. So what happens is when you go with a specific molecule, its close works with a specific analyte. And if the analyte concentration is changing, or if there is any variation, if there is a new analyte, or if it is a similar kind of analytes available, the response may not be recognized. That kind of disadvantage you have with molecular based biosensor, where the affinity is very high, that becomes the advantage. So the same point becomes both advantage as well as disadvantage for molecular based biosensors. Whereas cell, being a living thing, when you expose a cell to analyte, its response is very dynamic. You need not be very accurate or you need not be very specific what kind of analyte you are giving or what is your target analyte. In general, you expose it to the cells, but even though there is certain kind of genetic engineering or certain aspects which we need to look in before we choose a cell, but there can be a wide range of analytes which can be exposed and you can even get a wide range of responses with varying concentrations and all. So the other category is cell based. The biomimetic is something which we prepare a molecule which is a engineered molecule. The structural similarity might be there or may not be there, but there will be functional similarity. Such kind of molecules we can prepare and use them instead of biological recognition unit or bioreceptor. So, there are total 5 categories: enzyme based biosensor, antibody based biosensor, DNA based biosensor, and instead of going with molecules, as I already told you, cell based or biomimetic. So, these categories helps us to classify biosensors based on their function, and for our own understanding it helps us, right. Similarly, as I already told you, there is another category where you can classify sensors, right, that is based on transducers. Here you have electrochemical transducer. Again, let me remind you, transducer is a device which converts, or is a component which converts one form of energy into another form of energy, and mostly the output will be in the form of electrical signal. So, here electrochemical energy or electrochemical information is converted into electrical energy. Based on that, we call them as electrochemical transducer. Similarly, piezoelectric and calorimetric, optical. Mostly calorimetric is also a class of optical only, because based on light and based on that variation in light and nanometers we can be classifying. And whereas coming to piezoelectric is one popular area where most of these bioreceptors are incorporated or immobilized on these frames. So, in general, if you see, biosensors in broad are classified based on bioreceptors and transducers. Whereas, if you go in detail also, as we already discussed, you have these many 5 types, and here I gave you only 4 different types, but in transducers there are so many others, like impedimetric, right, where we will be seeing how the current is passing, whether there is any flow disturbance or whether there is continuous flow. Like this, there are so many other materials, and most important transducers is redox, which we call it as amperometric transducer, where both redox reaction, either reduction or oxidation, is guessed like this. There is a lot of other transducers which we will be seeing in our next upcoming videos and all. But for this session, I will be focusing more on the biological receptor or biological recognition unit, right. So, coming to the next topic, as I already told you, my major focus will be on bioreceptor. So, as I already discussed in my earlier slides, bioreceptor is nothing but a biological molecule. Either it is a natural molecule or sometimes it is a biomimetic molecule which we are using. So, you take this molecule and you expose them, as you can very much clearly see in the diagram itself. You can see there is a bio element. It might be any other thing, like in this diagram you have an example of antibodies. So, this antibody, when you expose it to different sample, that sample might contain so many other things, but being an antibody, this can recognize only antigen. So, if the expected antigen is available in the sample, then they will bind. You can see here binding is happening. You can see here binding is happening. You can see here binding is happening. But if you see here, there is a red color dot which is not attaching, because there is no affinity between those two things. That is why the affinity. So, for example, even though it will not happen in such a way, just for your understanding I am telling you, here there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 antibodies are there. So, based on the concentration of antigens in your sample, based on their attachment, that kind of association between the binding of antigen and antibody gives a response. That response is converted by the transducer into an electrical signal. Based on the intensity of signal and based on the requirement of the signal, then the whole processing happens and finally you get result. This is what actually happens. There are a lot of videos also available. in internet, and I am giving you couple of information, and I will be giving you certain research articles and books also where you can refer. This is the whole theme. If you understand this particular concept, the next coming videos would become very easy for you to understand, right? So, as I already told you, we are talking about bioreceptor. So, when you take a bioreceptor, there are two things here. From this slide you can understand there is a antibody and there is a antigen, which you are supposed to consider as a biological recognition unit. This you should never get confused, whether we use antibodies as our biorecognition unit or antigen, because if one is attached, the other should come and bind. But considering their principle, considering their association, considering their availability, definitely you have to always consider antibodies. Because, for example, if you are suffering with fever, that fever is because of some virus. That virus entered into your body, and because of that presence, it is our body is giving a signal, that is fever, right? So, when virus entered, our body has a inbuilt ability to start producing antibodies to fight against it. These antibodies are very much specific to this antigen. So, if you collect one set of antibodies like this, and you can collect a lot of samples wherein these antibodies, you immobilize them on a particular frame or a platform which helps you to hold the transducer, biorecognition unit, all these things. Then what happens? This antigen comes and binds with this particular, as shown in this diagram. Already we have a platform membrane, we have immobilized our antibody, and when you expose to the sample, the antigen comes and attaches. So, in this case, when you go for bioaffinity based biosensors, remember always antibodies you are supposed to immobilize, right? Similarly, if you go to the next enzyme based, so when it comes to the next category, that is biocatalysis based biosensor, or for your understanding you can even call it as enzyme based biosensor. So, always remember you are supposed to immobilize enzymes. So, enzyme has to be immobilized on the platform, whereas your substrate, whatever you are expected, for example, earlier we have taken in earlier videos, you have seen the example of glucose. Glucose is your substrate, glucose oxidase is your enzyme. So, when your enzyme gets interact with specific glucose molecules, then what happens? Immediately the reaction gets initiated. If reaction is initiated, immediately the transducer understands that part. If transducer understands and converts that into a signal, that signal is processed by a signal processing unit, and finally you get result. So, this is what happens with enzyme based biosensors, right? Similarly, like this, if you take a DNA based biosensor, earlier itself I have told you, in DNA we are supposed to take a single stranded DNA. So, you are expecting whether there is any foreign object or any unwanted organism available in your sample. So, what happens, usually they contain their own genetic material. So, whether that expected genetic material is available, it may be a toxic or it may be useful, it may be harmful. I am not talking about reasons. I am only talking about if the sample contains DNA, then you are supposed to take a complementary DNA strand and immobilize it on your transducer, so that when you expose it to sample, what happens? All this actual exact single stranded DNAs will come and bind. Hybridization happens, then you get a double stranded. Because of this association, then the signal is sent for transducer. Then transducer converts into electrical signal, the remaining process is all same, right? So, only the mechanism of biological agent is changing, but once it is happened based on the selected transducer, the signal conversion, everything happens in a similar fashion, right? So, as I already told you in classification itself, again I am reminding you, so far all the three categories I told you, whether it is antibody based, whether it is enzyme based, or whether it is DNA based, all those three categories we call them as molecular based biosensors. Whereas coming to living cells, wherein instead of spending lot of time in purifying a particular or isolating, purifying, characterizing on a molecule, you straight away take the organism and you expose this organism to a particular substrate or sample. Then based on the interaction between this living organism and the substance you have, the sample you have exposed to it, what happens? This gives a reaction. And currently lot of research is going in this direction, because you can save a lot of time and you can even reduce the cost. This is the cost effective mechanism. People are preferring living cells as bioreceptors, right? So, whatever you are taking, end of the day you have to immobilize them. Mostly it is physical entrapment. So, there is a good video available in the net.
The phenomenon in which enzyme is attached to an inert insoluble material is called enzyme immobilization. There are several ways in which enzyme immobilization can be done. These include adsorption, ionic binding, covalent binding, and entrapment method. Let's talk about adsorption. This method involves binding of enzymes on inert carrier such as activated charcoal, silica, or clay. The adsorption involves weak attractive forces such as hydrogen bonding and van der Waals interaction. Because of these weak attractive forces, the enzyme activity is not affected. However, change in pH, ionic strength, and temperature can affect enzyme binding. Ionic binding. Ionic binding of enzymes can be carried out using ion exchange resin. These materials have a positive or negative charge depending on the pH. The most common ion exchange materials used are DEAE cellulose or CM cellulose. DEAE cellulose has a positive charge and can interact with enzymes having negative charge. During this process, it is necessary to maintain pH, ionic strength, and temperature, because any change in these factors can disrupt the binding of enzyme. Covalent binding. Covalent binding is permanent method for enzyme immobilization. This method involves covalent bond formation between the functional group of the carrier and the functional group of the side chain amino acids of the enzyme. The advantage of covalent binding is that immobilization is not affected by external factors such as pH and presence of ions. However, it should be noted that catalytic site of enzyme should not be affected during immobilization. Entrapment method. This method involves trapping of enzymes in matrix of gel. This is a cost-effective method as enzyme is trapped and gel can be reused many times. The recovery of enzymes after the reaction is complete is also very easy.
So, to conclude this session, so far we have discussed various biological recognition elements. So, all the types we have discussed based on the classification, like enzyme based, DNA based, antibody based, and living cell itself. Instead of going for molecular, straight away you can go for the whole organism. So, immobilization is another important aspect, because we are talking about some biological things. When they are available within the body, their mechanism or their ability to respond will be at one level. And when you bring it to this physical world, whether they are performing in the same way or not is actually the point of concern. So to avoid this concern, you need to select proper immobilization technique wherein the functionality of your biological molecule is not hampered, so that the expected outcome comes out of this. By keeping these two things in your mind, anybody who is interested in this field can happily start designing your own biosensor, right? Thank you for this opportunity. I hope you understood various components that are available in a biosensor, classification of biosensor, and based on the available substrate, how to select a biological recognition element. Keeping in mind all of these things, if you are interested in this field, I wish you good luck in designing a biosensor. Thank you.